Let me ask you something. Are you actually failing, or are you just quitting before you even start? Because the reality is that most people, they stop. They stop when things get boring. They stop when things don't go their way. They stop when things are not kind of like there's no momentum. They just simply stop. But that right there is where the long game begins. And here's the thing, like most people think like success happens overnight. And that's so far from the truth, because the reality is that in order for you to be able to achieve any type of success, it takes years. It takes dedication, commitment, and you doing that same thing consistently day after day after day for you to be able to get to the point where then you can be able to exponentially start seeing progress and kind of like breakthrough and achieve success. But here's what happens. We get pushed this narrative out here in this day and age where success should look this way, or success is this. Success is having a lot of cars. Success is having lots of houses, or success is having a lot of likes or whatever. And then what ends up happening is that you start comparing yourself to people that have been doing certain things for a very long time. So like I've been doing, let's say this for 30 days or for 2 weeks. Maybe you watched the video at the beginning of the year, you got motivated, you got hyped up. You were like, man, this is the year I'm gonna do this. And then you started doing it, but then you started watching somebody who's been doing it for 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And it's like, man, you look at that and it's like, man, I'm never gonna get there. So you start getting demotivated, and that starts to affect your psyche, and it starts affecting the way that you think and the way that you're like, man, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get there. So inevitably what happens is that you stop. So when you stop, then you find a way to do something else or like set another goal, and then you go and you achieve that goal and you find yourself in the same situation, and then eventually you do the same thing and you stop again. So you're always constantly like in this stage of like stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. So you're very inconsistent. So you never can get to the point where you can kind of like really break through or get yourself into a point where you can kind of like get to the next iteration of yourself, because you're consistently stopping. Anybody that has achieved any level of success, it doesn't matter if it's small or exponential success, but anybody that has achieved any breakthrough in terms of being successful in any area, they've gone through different phases. And that first phase, which I call like the silent phase, is this phase where you really don't see any progress. At least on the surface, you don't see any progress. But everything that's happening underneath of that is all the work that you're doing, the communication, like the learning, the skill building that you're doing. All those things are things that are happening beneath the surface. At the top, it's like nothing's happening. Like there's no movement. Like people might say like, what are you doing? Like, well, you know, I don't see any progress. But the reality is that you're working, and the work that's happening in the silent phase, all that work is happening underneath. So if you think about it like a graph, right? It's like a flat line, right? You go on days, weeks, months, and nothing. It's like a flat line, right? Again, the work is happening underneath. Let me give you an example. Like a tree, the roots of a tree, like the foundation of a tree doesn't grow up initially, it grows down. It goes down through the roots, it builds the foundation, and then once it has the foundation, and the tree grows. It's the same thing with success. In order for you to be able to be successful in any area, you have to be able to work on yourself and work on the things that are gonna get you to a point where when that breakthrough comes through, then you're ready to be able to go on to the next level. But what happens is that a lot of people, they just quit somewhere along that flat line. Whether it's at the front, in the middle, or at the end, you see flatline, 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 and then at some point, like you're so close to getting that breakthrough, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not built for this, right? Your identity starts pulling you back saying, hey, you're hitting that ceiling, that's not who you are, right? So your identity starts to pull you back, or tries to pull you back, and then you stop doing what you were doing. And then what happens with that is that all that momentum that you had, all that compounding kind of like momentum that you had, you were doing the thing, you were compounding your inputs every single day, and then all of a sudden you stop. When you do that, then that magical thing that's called compounding then goes away, and then it's like you have to start from zero. And it's so difficult to then start over again, because it's like, man, I was here, and now you have to go all the way back. But here's the thing. The silent phase is where you build your skill, is where you build your authority, is where you build the skill sets, the partnerships, how to do certain things, how to communicate better. That's where you do that phase. And during that phase, you're not gonna see any progress. At least at the surface, you're not gonna see any progress. But you get to a point right before you hit that curve of exponential growth. And that second phase is what is called the compounding phase, where you get to a point flat line, you get to this point here and this X kind of like flat line going up, that when you get to that X, man, you just like, boom, you blow up. But you blow up because you've been doing all the work on the flat line that now allows you to be able to take it to the next level. And then when you get the next level, it's the same thing. You're gonna get to the next level, right? And then you're gonna flatline there. You're gonna do some work there that's gonna allow you to build the groundwork that you need to do on that level. And then eventually you get, if you keep compounding and you keep compounding and compounding, then you're gonna get to the next area where you're gonna be able to blow up even further. But all that to say that success doesn't happen overnight. And you have to be able to do the work that's necessary during that silent phase long enough for you to be able to get to that point where you can kind of like exponentially grow. And you know, a lot of people just stop. That's the reality. A lot of people just stop. They stop 30 days from being able to have a breakthrough. They stop 6 months from being able to have a breakthrough, or they stop a year from being able to have a breakthrough. Better yet, they might even stop 1 day before they have that breakthrough. But it's unfortunate, but it's what happens. And in order for you to be able to get that breakthrough that you're looking for in terms of whatever goal you're trying to achieve, you have to be able to stay consistent. You have to be able to stay disciplined and motivated to be able to do the thing. But here's the key. Motivation can only take you so far. You gotta be able to have systems in place that are gonna allow you to be able to do what you have to do long term, because systems is what's actually gonna get you there. Now let me explain this a little bit further. The long game is not emotional, it's structural, it's architected, it's engineered. Think about it this way. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So if your systems are great, then your success is inevitable. But if your systems are not that great, or your systems depend on how you feel for the day or for the week or for the month, then you're always gonna be inconsistent and you're always gonna stop and go and stop and go. And you're always gonna be kind of like in that motion. So the long game comes down to 4 things: your identity, your systems, leverage, and those 3 eventually get you to freedom. Your identity is who you are, what you're about. The systems are the things that you do every single day. The inputs, how are you consistently doing those every single day? And then the leverage is how do you use those systems, the compounding effect of your identity, the systems that you're using, and now you have the leverage to get you past or level up to the next level, is what's going to get you to freedom. So those 4 things is what the long game is about. Is about your identity, it's about the systems that you put in place that are going to give you the leverage to be able to get to freedom. So the difference between somebody winning, being successful or not, is how long they decide to stay in the game. That's literally the difference. You know, somebody who stops and goes is going to kill your momentum, it's going to kill your ability to learn, it's going to kill whatever minimal success you were having, is going to kill it if you're in that stop and go. But the people that stay long enough in the game and they compound their efforts, they compound their skills, eventually they get to a point where it's like that snowball effect. You ever heard the snowball effect? Like that snowball effect, you can't stop it. And again, the people that win in life are those that play the long game and they stay in the game. So the people that win and the people that are able to achieve their outcomes and their goals are the people that stay in the game long enough for them to be able to get to that point where they can kind of like compound their skills, compound their efforts, and kind of like have that snowball effect. And if you made it to the end, it looks like you're also wanting to play that long game. So I highly suggest that you subscribe. And if you want, you can watch one of these videos over here so that you can continue to compound your growth.